Well, had a very lovely evening in the car, sleeping here. This is my favourite spot that I've managed to find in Tasmania, just because there's no one. Sat out here and slowly watched this hill burn last night. Seems to be somewhat in control, but out of control fire there. Had some really interesting perspectives on medication and the coronavirus and the whole situation, because I was really thinking about, as I was suicidal and depressed, like if I should be going back onto medication or if I can actually get myself through it. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I stress the point that you really have to just be unmedicated and live unmedicated. As a schizophrenic, you always have to be prepared to go back on medication. Really, that has to be the cornerstone of being off medication, is to be sure that you will go back on it if you have to. And so I really had to question, and process that. And then the whole corona thing going on and wondering about, well, there goes that chance of getting on medication. I'm never going to get into public service unless I deliver myself to a clinic, um, which is the last place you want to be when there's a pandemic. uh, and I followed that thinking and processed it some more and thought, I think this is as awesome not to be on medication. Dude, I'm interviewing myself. Um, if I was in this situation and I couldn't get my medication, that would be a disaster. Um, or if I was going on to medication during this time and maybe it's not the right, or I don't have the right dosage, or it doesn't match, this would be a disaster. And it gives me much more clarity to be able to see the whole picture instead of just everything being fine because I'm on medication. Now, that said, if you are on medication and thinking about getting off medication, during a pandemic is not the time to do it. And I'll stress again that if you are thinking about coming off medication, that is not a decision you make on your own. That is a decision you make with a professional, and, you know, take the months that it takes to slowly get off it and be aware consciously the whole time of how you're doing and have systems in place of being able to process what is happening. And then I just followed the thought of, like, well, being schizophrenic in a crisis. Your whole life's a crisis. Your whole life is training for this. Normal people are freaking out. And maybe it's just me. I've been through so many crises that I just love a crisis. I have focus in a crisis. But there are advantages in being schizophrenic in a crisis. If you are medicated, you're medicated. You're good to go. Nothing's going to touch you. Everything's fine. You'll zero it out. If you're not medicated and you've been unmedicated for a long time, you know how to handle that. You know how to process your thoughts. You know how to deal with anxiety. Sure, it can get much, like, I didn't have to come out here, but I feel a lot better that I did come out here for the evening to have this time to process and think and evaluate myself. But I didn't have to come here. I could have done that in the caravan, the corona van that I'm calling it, which is where I'm hiding out during this pandemic. So yeah, there are advantages in being schizophrenic, which has been very interesting because I've had some phone calls from some people, not many, but some, and I can hear from the tone in their voice when they're asking me how I'm doing. They're expecting me to be depressed, and they're expecting me to be freaking out, and they're expecting me to be all like, "Oh, this is just what I've been talking about," and it's like, that's not what they're getting from me. What they're getting is, I'm happy, I'm fine, dude, I'm good. There's there's people not dealing with this, I am dealing with this, and on the grand scale of things, as everyone else increases, like I said yesterday, that makes me normal. Normal is a numbers game when the majority of people are at one level. That's what's classed as normal. And because everyone is freaking out, I'm normal. I'm better than normal. And that's just a really nice feeling. And yeah, I've had many paranoid things. I mean, I had to leave Europe. I had to leave the city. I had to get out. I had to do that in 2 years. 2 years, something's coming. Something's coming. There's going to be a change in the energy. If people aren't going to work together. There's something's coming. I got to get out of Europe. I got to get out. Now, I didn't think it was this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, I foresaw this. No, I didn't see this coming. But I had a sense that something was coming, and I had to get out. And people were like, dude, that's just, that's just your imagination. That's just your mind playing tricks on you. That's whatever. That's just from your psychosis. You don't have to believe that. And I'm like, dude, I've seen something coming. You don't have to believe me, but I can't not believe it. Which is also a nice feeling because fuck, you know, whether that's true or not, or just my imagination or the way things, coincidence, none of that matters. Because I am not living in a tiny apartment by myself in a highly densely populated area. I am living in a caravan out in the hills, 40 minutes out of Hobart, and in a state that's, I don't know how big Tasmania is, but it's big. I don't know how big it is in comparison to, but it's big enough. I mean, fuck, I don't know. I really don't know how big it is. But there's like 2 million people in the whole state, max. So it's very remote. It's very isolated. Where I'm working also is just me, one other guy. He's building one section. I'm building another section. I spend the whole day pretty much on my own. I wear gloves all day. I've already built the habit of not touching my face because I do this because I did that months ago. And every time I touch my face, I was like, you're touching your face. You're touching your face. Get into the habit. Get into the habit. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. Being paranoid. Dude, and paranoia has kept me healthy. Paranoia has Paranoia, in a way, has kept me sane. My paranoia, once again, has kept me safe and sound and in control. But that's controlled paranoia. Uncontrolled paranoia, unconscious paranoia, that'll get you killed. Anyway, that was my thoughts. Thought I'd share them. There was many more thoughts, but, let's try and keep these videos a little bit shorter than my monologue of hours. Just keep trying, people. Stay healthy.